We drink tequila. We talk.
Welcome to Team Tequila Talks.
That's about it. Okay, cheers. Got
Cheers,
Sheri
cheers.
from LA and Brandy and I are here in Atlanta.
Ooh, those are cute glasses.
Ooh, I like it. I got them from a vintage store here. Everybody, welcome to Team Tequila Talks. Your co-host Cassandra Gina Mel and Sheri Ann Gonzalez. A fun dial-in episode we've got going on again. And our guest, Brandi Rhodes. Well, that's your stage name.
Yeah.
And that's what we're going with here.
Yeah. The stage name and the government name are so close. We just don't have to. Like, I mean, plenty of times, like I'll go in for appointments and things and I'll say my actual name and then they'll be like, we have Rhodes. I'm like, that's fine.
Close enough. R, right?
Same.
So Brandy, you have seen her in the WWE, you've seen her on AEW, and basically anything having to do with wrestling. She's been all over the wrestling world, and she also has a really cool show coming up that is right up our alley, Sheri. It's called Brandy on the Rocks. And while we are tequila fans here and explore all of the different ways to have tequila, and we have fun people come on and teach us how to make fun beverages, is it just Brandy? Why don't you tell us about the show? What's the show?
So the show, well, it's a two-part show thing. Let's go back. Okay, so I have a successful YouTube show called Shot of Brandy. It was on YouTube for about 4 years, got picked up by a production company. So it's in its like turning phase. So hopefully the next time we talk, it'll be on network somewhere.
Nice.
But Shot of Brandy is a cooking cocktails talk show. It's a weird combination of all the three, and it's just delightful. It's wonderful.
So you're going around visiting bars, and then you're also going visiting restaurants.
So that's what Brandy on the Rocks is going to be. So Shot of Brandy's in, like, usually it's in my kitchen. But the production company, they want to do something fancy. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, if you look on YouTube at Shot of Brandy, all taking place in like my kitchen or kitchens where I was vacationing or whatever. Guests come on, wrestling, Steven was on, actors, musicians, come on, we make the favorite drink. We cook something that kind of goes with it. Sometimes it goes bad because we drank too much and didn't follow any recipes.
Unfamiliar. That never happens to us.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like that's a part of cooking. That's a part of life. Like you screw up and then you fix it as best you can and, serve it to your family and hope that they can stomach it.
Right. But I feel like, I feel like I'm a better cook.
Talk about projects and things that they have going on, and it's really cool and great. But we were missing it because we turned it over to the production company. And, it's been like 6 months or so since I've had a new episode of that. So I decided to create Brandy on the Rocks as kind of like, not a filler, but something, new for fans to kind of sink their teeth into. And that's the one where we're going to go to bars and restaurants around Atlanta, talk to the chefs and the head bartenders and learn how to make signature cocktails like professionals.
Love that.
Yum.
We're learning every day here on Team Tequila Talks, that brings me to what we're drinking right now.
Yeah.
So this is a Southern Skinny. And we came up with this concoction in honor of you.
Yay!
I asked Brandy what she liked to drink, and she, you mentioned just sort of like something light, something refreshing. It is 100 degrees down here right now, and we've had no respite from the heat. So something on the lemonade, refreshing type front. But here at Team Tequila Talks, we always like to step it up a notch with the wellness and with the benefits. We like to offset things like inflammation, dehydration, etc., with what we are putting in the cocktail. Sheri, you want to tell us the ingredients for what we're drinking today?
Yes, we have a Blanco tequila, and we mixed it with Vital Proteins, hydration, and collagen. So it's kind of like, one of those little electrolyte packs that you take when you drink too much or are too dehydrated.
It's exactly
from a night
one
out.
of those.
We're mixing. So this is like the night out pre, right? So we're not wasted. We're not dehydrated. We're overhydrated right now. So we added that to some soda, shook it up. And so basically the Vital Protein collagen it's one of the only electrolytes that combines really good grass-fed pasture-raised collagen and 880 milligrams of electrolytes. And most packets have about 450, 500.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. And it's like a small packet. And it only has 1 gram of sugar, which here we love. Do not give me a sugar-laced anything. I don't want it in my cocktail. I don't want to see it. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to see it the next day. basically collagen is amino acids. It has glycine, proline, and hydroxyproline. They form 3 strands, which make up the triple helix structure of collagen. You guys, I'm a scientist. Did I sound
Sheri,
good?
you're a scientist, Sheri. I was just gonna say.
My trainer was just talking to me about amino acids the other day.
Did you just take
They're
a class since last week? Holy shit.
I did, but amino acids are important. But if I can have some in a cocktail, like I just feel like plus collagen, I feel like I'm winning. So collagen is found in any connective tissue. So like skin, tendons, bones, and cartilage, all things that if you work out a lot, like I'm sure we all do, and if you're aging, which none of us are, but if you are aging, these things kind of deplete over time. So in our drink, we're putting back what we're kind of depleting over time and also staying super hydrated. We're low carbing it, and we have like some grass fed animal protein, something in there. So I feel like collagen, we've had this conversation before about the science. It's fairly new. And here we like to believe that if you drink it, it does do something for you. There's some new science that's come out about it where it's like, I don't know, guys, you can't really drink collagen back into tendons and connective tissues, but we say here you can, because why not?
Well, and also it can't hurt. We've talked about this before. If the jury is still out, there's no reason why you shouldn't give it a try, because what if in 5 years we have the science to see that, oh no, this really did work this whole time. And the thing that I find interesting about this is it basically is like a Gatorade.
Okay.
But it's not going to have all of the sugars and all of the additives and the artificial flavors and the things that make it neon blue.
Like the
so
food
if
guys.
you're right, so you're getting the same taste like a Gatorade, but you're not getting all the junk that goes with this. I mean, this is a very light color. It's almost like a lemonade, and it's called Tropical Blast. So see, when you think Tropical Blast Gatorade, Powerade, you're probably thinking something fluorescent red, blue, orange even, and it's just neon colored. And this isn't that, but I have to say it has all the flavor.
Yes, this is delicious. Like, I'm jealous I didn't think of this. And I have to say, I'm a skeptical person. I have been skeptical. This is
already.
But I've been skeptical of collagen powder with smoothies and things like that, because I like to see the benefits like right away, which that's not real. So like, I'm always that person that's like 2 weeks. My wrinkles aren't gone. Bye.
But you also don't know how rapidly you would be aging if you didn't use it. That's the thing. And I think I've talked about this before, but I did the thing after I had my daughter where I got the placenta encapsulated.
I did too.
And everybody said, did it work? And I'm like, I don't really know, because I didn't not do it.
Right.
So I don't know how I would have felt if I
maybe I recovered really quick.
I had a decent recovery, but I mean, I could have had a horrible postpartum depression and just didn't know about it. Did the encapsulated placenta save me? I don't know.
Wait, I didn't drink or encapsulate my placenta, and I had a great recovery. So I don't know.
It's whatever works for you. And it's whatever, whatever does or does not work for you. So
would that be vegan? I have a question about the placenta. Would that be technically a vegan treat? Because it's organic?
Say it's a treat.
Yeah.
But
I mean, in terms of like, because
it's more cannibalistic than vegan, I think.
Yeah.
So it's meat. You would say placenta is meat?
I think so.
Well, anytime that you eat, because they say that the most nutrient dense parts of an animal are going to be your liver, your kidneys, your organ meats, right? And that's why it's so good to eat head to tail. But when you're talking about human, I don't know, because they say that breast milk is vegan. And I think, is it though? It's an animal product. We're animals. It's a product of us. I don't think that breast milk is vegan. I don't.
Well,
I don't know. I honestly haven't thought about any of it.
The jury's out. The jury is out. But the only reason why I asked that is because there is vegan collagen that I looked up, and I was like, how can there be vegan collagen when we know collagen is from like animals? You have to have connective tissues, and it can't come from a plant.
A lot of times collagen is from a fish or fish scales or, and so for people that are pescatarian or they don't eat cow, because the best collagen, the most dense collagen that you're going to get is going to be bovine, which is from a cow. Bone marrow from cows is incredibly nutrient rich and nutrient dense, assuming that you're getting sustainably sourced cattle, and it's not being pumped full of hormones or antibiotics. And I think that probably that goes for the collagen as well. So fish can be a bit cleaner. So for people that are very second guessing, do I want to eat something from a cow? So fish can be a bit more approachable for people, but I don't understand how a collagen can be vegan. Just like I've seen a lot of vegan bone broths, and I'm like, that's not
real. It's not
right?
bone.
With bone marrow, I have a question. Is bone marrow supposed to taste like anything?
Yeah, it's delicious.
It's delicious.
It
kind of tastes like a meat jam.
Every time I get it, maybe I'm getting it from the wrong places, but every time I get it, I'm excited about it. And then I, taste it and I'm like, it's just, I don't know. It's like a jelly without flavor.
It's a meat jam.
I
think it's kind of like a salty meat jam, and you put a little spring onion and a little spice on there. I think
maybe
it's
they're
delicious.
not seasoning it. I won't say where I recently had it from, but I was disappointed.
Okay, so maybe you'll have to go somewhere on Brandy on the Rocks and go to a new place. Because have you ever done a bone marrow luge?
No.
Okay.
No.
So I'm an expert.
I don't know.
Cassandra's a pusher. Cassandra's a pusher of the bone marrow.
It's an experience. I'm not a pusher of drinking. I just want people to have the experience if they haven't had it before.
Drink out of a bone
out
marrow,
of the bone. So what you do is, for those of you who haven't tried this, you order bone marrow from a restaurant. A lot of times you can get it at a steakhouse. Yep. And I learned this trick in Texas because I also grew up on a cattle farm. So I've got all these cow tricks up my sleeve, these cowgirl tricks up my sleeve. So you order a bone marrow and you scoop it out and you do the thing. And they usually have it with toast or crackers or bread or whatever. Right. And, you kind of sop up the collagen and what's left on the bone, that's what you want, because when it's roasted in the oven, it really extracts all of that super nutrient dense collagen and bone marrow properties that are going to be really beneficial for you. And then what you do, because those oils kind of stick to the bone, is you take Sheri or Brandy, Sheri or Brandy.
It's a win, guys.
Guys,
I love it.
It's a sign. So you take Sheri or Brandy and you take the bone, which is usually about 6 inches, maybe 4, maybe 8, depending on where you're going. And you put it in front of your mouth like an ice luge or like a luge, and you just pour the Sheri or the Brandy. Sometimes whiskey works too if you're really going for it. And you pour it down, and it takes all of that richness, all of that fat, those oils, all of that was left behind on the bone comes down in the form of a liquor rinse.
Wow. So it's the healthiest shot you could probably ever take, I would think.
Yeah,
because you're getting. It's a healthy shot. But Cassandra, one time we had it with sake, I believe. One time we did it with sake at a sushi.
No, that was whiskey. That was Japanese whiskey.
Oh, it was Japanese whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So bone marrow, people, is not vegan. None of the things we're talking about is vegan. But if you want
the opposite of vegan, I think
it's the opposite of vegan. Yeah. But we're not anti-vegan here. So there is vegan collagen. It is used by genetically modified yeast and bacteria.
Well, that sounds not good.
Googled this. Well, I think anything modified to be anything, I just don't know if that's a healthier version than a cow derivative or a fish derivative collagen. I don't know if that's actually healthier or more harmful. So I wouldn't recommend the vegan collagen, only because what is it really doing? If this is doing something, then that definitely ain't doing nothing. That's just my opinion.
Right. I think that anytime you can stick with natural things that come from the earth, I mentioned eating head to tail, which I think is better for the earth because of sustainability, but also you're not wasting any part of an animal. I feel like anytime you can stick to what comes from the earth, whether that is a plant or an animal, you are always going to process that a little bit more easily in your body. Even I looked at this Vital Proteins because I was curious why it tastes sweet. And I thought, did we just get ourselves into a sucralose trap here? Did we just did we just get a bunch of artificial sweeteners? And no, the answer is monk fruit, which is a plant derivative. Now, some people don't like monk fruit. However, if it is mixed in with other flavors, I feel like it's worth a try because, you know, you hear about people that don't want to put, some people don't like stevia, some people don't like monk fruit, and they don't want to put it in their coffee because it makes their coffee taste funny. And that's fine because everybody has different tastes. You got to find what works for you. But I have always been a fan of this Vital Proteins brand because I found them to be pretty clean.
Yeah.
You know, this is grass-fed and pasture raised. So the important thing about grass-fed is that these, again, we were just talking about how doing things naturally from the earth is just sort of the way that your body is meant to process things. That's true of cows too. So if cows are out eating the grass, they're sometimes maybe eating some bugs that are on the grass, and they're eating all of the things that they were designed, their body was designed to process. Cows have 4 stomachs. We only have 1. But cows are designed to be able to break down hay and grass. So when you go into a farm, this is kind of a big problem with factory farming in the United States. You go in and you feed cows grains. Their bodies are not meant to eat corn.
Yeah.
It fattens them up and it inflames their fat cells, and it just makes them really, the fat content is much higher, which some people want if they're selling a certain type of fancy steak.
Yeah.
But for the most part, that's not the type of food that cows should be eating. And then you have to understand that that's going to have an effect on the cows, which then if in turn you eat the cow products, is going to have an effect on you. So anytime you can get grass-fed, that is the move for sure.
Yeah. So we're getting our grass-fed, this is, you know, great collagen, and we're beautifying. What is the beautification of our tequila? That's what we're doing.
Beautification.
We're getting it all in.
Tequila.
Beautification.
Yeah,
of
I'm gonna pick
tequila.
this up. Where do you get the? I've
Whole
seen it at Whole
Foods,
Foods. Yeah,
Amazon. I mean, this one came via Amazon because, you know,
Yeah, we
convenience
Amazon.
points for that. But I think you could get it at like any type of health
Publix
food
have 'em?
store.
Yeah.
I think like
GMC.
might have
Yeah,
it.
GMC has it. Yeah.
I have to say that I don't know all the specialty stores and the nooks and crannies in Atlanta yet. So you're going to have to fill me in on some of your favorite spots. Where's your favorite place to get a cocktail in Atlanta?
Ooh, that's tough. So you know what's really strange is I do, and this is going to sound crazy, I do most of my like real drinking in Disney World. Like I'm a Disney, I can tell you where to drink in Disney World, Orlando.
How often
like,
do you go to Disney?
a lot.
Okay.
I'll be there next week.
All right. I love Disney.
Oh, I'm obsessed with Disney. Like Disney is life to me. Like,
But you can't get drinks in the Magic Kingdom.
Yes, you can.
What's your secret? Are you allowed to say this publicly?
Yeah. So, Be Our Guest restaurant has drinks.
Oh yeah, they have beer and wine.
Jungle Cantina, the newer restaurant that they like revamped for Jungle Cruise. You can get drinks. I feel like there's some place else that I'm missing. I don't know if you can do it at Cinderella's table. Probably.
I've had wine at Cinderella's table.
So yeah.
So I don't think you can get
Well,
hard.
not
liquor.
hard like crazy. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it was
No,
a wine.
Epcot is your spot. for
Yeah,
that,
you can get
obviously.
margaritas, and they've got all kinds of stuff because they've got the
Yeah.
showcase of all the countries and
Yes.
all of that
You can
stuff.
get really messed up. in Epcot if you would like.
I love. Wait,
go to a little
I
around
love
the
that.
world tour.
You won't make it.
I love
I've
that
never
you're
seen it.
like.
I've
what's-
literally seen grown grandmas have to make a pit stop in the bushes at
wow.
Epcot before because they went a little too hard.
Oh wow.
Wait, you know what I love about this is Disney's brand is absolutely not drinking. And you just said my favorite place, what's your favorite bar in Atlanta? I have to admit it's Disneyland. I was not
Skip the entire metropolis of Atlanta. Let's go to Disney. No, so let me try to think about Atlanta. Where do I like to? Well, okay. So as far as the show goes, I just went to Juniper Cafe, which is a Vietnamese Southern fusion restaurant.
Yeah.
And they have an amazing drink there. It's like they serve it in a beer glass. So it's literally like this big, and it can hurt you, but it tastes so good. Just if you go there and you want to get, it's called the Zone One. If you want to get that drink, cab, Uber,
Okay.
don't drive.
Yeah.
You're going to be in trouble if you drive, but it's amazing. So that they have great drinks there. Trying to think.
Have
Gosh.
you been to Little Spirit?
No.
So I have to say that was a really cool one. This was a while ago, but I asked for a cool, fun, funky cocktail and they said, do you like mezcal? And I said, obviously. And so it came in a cereal bowl with the little tiny ice pellets
Okay.
and Trix cereal on top of it.
Wow.
And it was like a cocktail that's supposed to be like a breakfast. I think it was called Saturday Morning Cartoons or something like that. I don't even remember.
Wild.
And so I have to admit, I didn't eat the Trix because that's a lot of artificial coloring that I'm not a fan of. But in terms of a garnish and decoration,
Yeah, that's pretty
they
cool.
definitely get points for creativity. And the cocktail itself was great. And the interesting thing about that place is that they juice all their own stuff. So they've got like, they had a Bugs Bunny cocktail and they juice their own carrots and stuff. So it surprised me that they did the Trix, but you know what? I thought that it was still really cute. And also just because they're given to you doesn't mean you have to eat them. Right?
Exactly.
No.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Me, I'll eat the Trix. I'll eat anything once. I'll try anything once. And then like, we don't have to go back. 7 Lamps in Atlanta in Buckhead. They have some
7
really great drinks.
Lamps,
Yeah.
like, lighting.
Yep.
Okay.
7 Lamps. They're
All right.
right by the metropolis of Buckhead near Lenox Square. They're actually in shops around Lenox. They're great and like super understated. They have great food too. 7 Lamps. I'm gonna go with 7 Lamps.
Well, we're gonna have to follow your show to figure out what you discover.
Yeah, along the way.
way.
Some fun stuff.
Okay, so
I love that.
we love our fun cocktails. We've got our Southern Skinny here. Cheers again, which this is delicious. We're gonna have to add this to our list of our recurring drinks. Here at Team Tequila Talks, we obviously are wellness enthusiasts. We are also tequila enthusiasts, but part of the wellness and tequila enthusiasm is wanting to, I don't want to say earn your cocktail, because if you feel like everybody should feel deserving of what they want at all times, but it really feels like the tequila, the cocktail tastes better when you've gotten in a good sweat.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I have to say that earlier today, I did this incredibly difficult yoga workout where I burned 200 calories, which for a 45-minute yoga workout, that's a
actually,
lot.
Yeah.
It is a lot, right? Like normally
lot.
I do yoga as a stretch and get into your body, and I might be a little bit sore and I just want to move a bit.
Yeah.
And this was not that.
No.
I was in a full sweat, and I was very satisfied at the end of it because it was kind of a nice surprise. I wasn't expecting that type of challenge, but I love yoga. I used to work out a bunch and was very anti-yoga because I just said, you know what? It's too zen and I'm not getting what I want out of it. And if I'm taking an hour out of my day or an hour and a half out of my day or 2 hours by the time you shower and go somewhere and drive there and drive back and all of that stuff, I want an ass kicking.
Yeah.
I don't want to just go like meditate and chant in a room. And I have found that once I got into my own practice and started doing yoga on my own, and this came with traveling a bunch, and you don't even really need a mat if you're traveling, because if you have like a towel at a hotel or even a carpet, you can make do, right? You don't have to have the mat. You can do yoga anywhere, no special shoes, no special equipment. A lot of times I will just do it in my bra, my underwear, barefoot in a hotel room, because that's what I've got. And I find that for me is the most rewarding thing, because I can do it anywhere and I'm just checking in with my body and really feeling that body connection. And it allows me to be in a better headspace to go do those challenging workouts.
Yeah. I used to do power yoga, which is and Kundalini is actually extremely hard. And also Ashtanga, if you get like Ashtanga 3, 4, you can work up. Like back in the day, I did yoga for like 6-7 years before I got pregnant. It's the only thing I ever did, because I read an article that said J-Lo did it and Halle Berry did it. And I was like, well, I better hop on this trend. So I did it. And I was really thin. I didn't have a lot of muscle. And then I switched and I started doing like HIIT workouts and lifting heavy. And now I'm done with that. I do that maybe like once a week. I take like an Orange Theory class. Now I do mostly Tracy Anderson method and Pilates and a 1 HIIT class a week.
It's
I kind of
funny
mix it up.
that you say that you did that because J-Lo did it. Because I remember reading, I think it was in high school, that it was right when Janet Jackson had the abs and the Super Bowl and the thing. And everybody said, what's your trick? And she said, I hold a plank every day for 1 minute. And I go, I can do that. Yeah. Great. 6-pack, it's on the way. I did that shit for like 3 years. And let me tell you, I did not come anywhere close to getting a six pack. Not even a little bit. My core was super strong, but you just couldn't see it because I'm just not one of those people that's
it's
super
genetic, right?
It's
like
totally genetic.
Your muscles protrude. Yeah. And it's such a mind F because like you see people who you're like, okay, they're just doing this. And I can totally do this.
I'll just do that
and
too.
Then you do it for, 3-4 months and you're like, where am I falling short? Until you figure it out that like, hey, I'm just not going to show the same way that this person did.
And I bet you see that more than basically anybody in the real world because you are in the wrestling world and you're seeing people all the time that are wearing basically Speedos. So you've seen every body type. And you've probably seen people that are like 5'5" and people that are 6'9". And you've probably seen people that are really long and lanky and really bulky and men and women and upper body and lower body and all of these different things. So I would imagine that you have seen it all when it comes to exercise, working out, challenging your body.
What works for some people doesn't work for other people. It's bizarre. It's really weird. I feel like I'm in a phase right now of just kind of hitting my groove of what works for Brandy post baby in this next phase of life, whatever that is. And it's not the same. It's not what it was before. Like before I was lots of like HIIT workouts, Tabata style training, lots of running, and that don't do it anymore. Now it's a lot for this phase of my life. It's a lot more heavy lifting, which I wish we would switch because I would rather that have been over with for me. But now I feel like I'm noticing a lot more difference from just heavy lifting and like my trainers having to tell me like, you don't have to do this much cardio all the time. And I'm like, yeah, I do. No, my whole life I've had to do this much cardio.
This
all
is
the
just
time.
what I do. This is my routine.
Right. But now that I'm seeing like, oh, you actually are still doing cardio by doing these like these lifts, it just doesn't feel like it. It feels really weird.
Well, and when you wear your Apple Watch, a Fitbit or whatever, and you wear these things and you go and you do a leg day, you go, holy smokes, I burned as many calories. My heart rate is at 155. And how is it that I did just as much as if I ran 3 miles or 5 miles or whatever? It's kind of crazy, this information era that we're in, because you can really see what is happening with your body. And not all calories, they always say that not all calories are created equal. And this applies to food. You've seen the memes floating around that say 100 calories of a banana is not the same as a 100 calorie snack pack mini muffin with 48 ingredients. And that is also true for burning calories, because you can get on the treadmill and burn 200 calories. But if you do that every day, it's going to look quite different than if you were lifting weights, burning 200 calories, because you're just not going to get that muscle doing, hamster cardio.
Well, I was watching the J-Lo documentary. I don't know if you guys seen it Halftime. It's actually really good. I would check it out because she's like 51 or 50 and she looks amazing. And she was another Tracy Anderson addict for years. And it's her, Gwyneth Paltrow, Kate Hudson, Jessica Chastain. So I started doing it in the pandemic, and it's like small weights, high reps. It's dance choreography for sure, ankle weights, some small, some heavy. But my body kind of changed and it got soft. And I'm like pretty muscly. It was like, I don't like the way I look anymore, like post baby. Like I don't need all these goddamn muscles like popping out everywhere. So I'm like, I want to look more softer, more rounder, but I got more jigglier. And my husband was like, hey, that's kind of nice. And I was like,
jigglier, more jigglier.
Like
there's your phrase of the episode, Sheri.
Yeah. But I didn't like it. And I was reading some science and they were like, women should, as you age, actually, Brandy, where you're kind of right, is you're supposed to stop the high impact, the like, you don't need to beat ropes, the heavy ropes, your shoulder girdle and all that stuff gets messed up. And what I read was either heavy and slow or even low and slow for women post baby, no matter the age, because you get more, you don't bulk. And I think HIIT, you actually bulk because you're using too much of your fast twitch muscles. So when you're doing like, rows so fast for time, instead of like trying to get a rhythm and stretching and using the back muscles and stuff like that. So I've kind of seen a change in my body that I like. Now that also involves a lot of my diet, right? Because if I just kind of have a fun week and I'm like, F it, I do see changes too.
You got to live your life.
Like
Yeah.
No, you have to. Like I was got on the scale and I was like 6 pounds heavier. And I can always tell because my jeans, right? I get my jeans tailored to have like a little bit of a weird body. I have a short torso. I'm small. So all my jeans are tailored. And then I can always tell when it's like that last button and you're like, oh, and then you're sitting at dinner and it like creases and you're like, all right, I need to get it together.
It makes sense though, what you're saying, because we do the Legree Pilates. I love solid core. We go work out at House of Strong. Shout out to Mark Strong, who's a regular on our show. And it's always filled with women. And granted, they have women of all ages. But I find it interesting because I never feel like more of a stereotype than when I do these classes, because I put on my athleisure, my matching athleisure, because it is what you wear to work out now. And I usually pair it with going to pick my daughter up or like running to the grocery store. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to change. Right. What am I going to put on jeans to impress the people at the grocery store? No. So I wear my gear and all of a sudden I'm like, pushing my grocery cart and I got my matching aloe stuff on. And then I hit my Legree class where it's all women in matching athleisure sets, but it's that low impact, heavy, slow resistance. And I was thinking about this when I was in a class yesterday. I genuinely enjoy that type of workout. It makes me feel strong when my abs are so burnt out that I have to give up. I like that type of, because I can sit there and I will go to the gym with my husband sometimes and we'll do a workout and they'll say, okay, you're going to do 30 oblique sets and 30 sit-ups and then 30, plank jacks, whatever. And my husband is definitively stronger than me, but I can crush him in those core sets and he has a 6-pack and I don't, and I can do it so much faster. My core is so strong, but you can't see it. And I think it has a lot to do with that, slow, sustained, low impact. When I do those classes, it's all core. Even when you're doing legs, you're engaging your core. And I genuinely enjoy that type of workout now. Yeah. I think it's my favorite thing to do, that and yoga, but it's my favorite strength thing.
Yeah. And for women, they say, like, I guess working out, you only move on 2 planes, and like spine health, which is what Legree is, totally for, is that you twist in certain ways. Like if you're in a lunge and you're using your arms at the same time, it's like, I do feel like men they have such bigger tendons and muscle groups to support themselves and less fat, and they burn more. Me and my husband did the same workout the other day. Went to Orange City the other day. I burned 410 calories and he was like 830. And I was just like,
I know,
burns.
Right? Well, I always give Sheri shit every time because we will work out together and we start our Apple Watches at the same time and she'll go, whew, that was great. That was a 210 calorie workout. And I was like, well, mine was 250, slacker. And I just because I am a solid, but 4 inches maybe taller than you. So yes, I'm sure. Naturally, and I weigh more because I'm bigger, I'm taller than you. So I'm naturally going to burn more, but I love reminding Sheri that she's not working hard enough in her workouts.
Sucks so bad.
I mentioned that you've seen it all in the wrestling world. What is the craziest thing that you have seen either on a nutrition or workout front? Because I remember, when the master cleanse, people were doing this master cleanse and not eating for a whole month and just drinking lemon and maple syrup and cayenne pepper. And they're like, oh my gosh, but I lost so much weight. Well, yeah, you also lost all of your muscle, but I'd imagine it's all going to come back. And it all comes back. And the second they start eating, they're just, it's like touching marshmallow fluff because there's just nothing behind it. What is some of the craziest stuff that you have seen?
I feel like a lot of times, and you can see it coming, and no matter what you tell people, they don't get it until it starts to happen. But a lot of women come into wrestling from bodybuilding, and it makes sense. Different bear, like the way that they have to eat for that training versus the way that they have to eat for wrestling training every single time. Almost, I feel like there's maybe like 2 or 3 people that this didn't happen to, but every single time they blow up because they're eating too much. Like they're like, I have to eat, every hour, and so I have to eat, they're eating their chicken and their broccoli and like whatever. And then they're just chomping away. And you're just like, there's gonna come a time where you're gonna change this. I know, and then so sure enough, it happens. And then, they adapt and, change. But I remember a friend when I was just beginning training was just going so hard with the meals and everything. And I remember being like, you don't have to eat like that anymore. And she's like, no, I do. I definitely do. And then sure enough, she gained too much. And then she slimmed right on down because she was like, okay, I understand now. This is not the same thing. So yeah, like training for, what is it, IFBB or
the weightlifting,
the professional,
But that's
also,
it's not the same.
It's different because you're lifting and you're going for size, but then you also go on the stage and you're doing, the poses. It's very different than having to throw yourself off of the top of a wrestling rope and fly across a wrestling ring and like twist and take someone out. That's a very different skill set. There's some similarities, like small attire, elastic attire, probably wanting to be tan, having to have strengths. But I would imagine that those are kind of where the similarities end, because those seem like two really different sports.
Yeah. 100%. So different. I mean, I've never done, IFBB or anything like that before. I don't have the discipline. There's no, like, I would quit on because I've watched some people do it and like how they have to eat or not eat really, or eat things that they don't want to eat ad nauseum. That's just not for me.
That doesn't sound like fun. No. And then they can't drink either when they're eating like that. They're like, oh, can't drink for 3 months. I'm training. And I'm like, why? Like,
they got a stronger mindset than I do. I'll tell you that.
Obviously there's probably any type of shift when it comes to diet and eating plans in the wrestling world. I also know that a lot of sports in general, athletes are very superstitious. Do you find that carries over into the wrestling world?
I think so. I try not to be that way. So I figure skated for 17 years before I turned into a wrestler.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Really? Yeah.
No, sparkling gear.
And that's kind of like
really
my transition from like that.
Didn't even need a new wardrobe.
No, I could have worn the same thing. I really could have. With figure skating, I had like a lot of rituals and things had to be the same way all the time. And I noticed it didn't serve me at all. 9 times out of 10, if I was so focused on that stuff, I would skate terrible. So I decided when I got into wrestling, it would be what I want it to be, which is fun. And sometimes things don't go great. They don't go, 100% how you want it to. But at the end of the day, to get a paycheck for doing something as insane and fun as wrestling, you better have fun. You're going to like get to a point in your life where this is not your life anymore. So if you, overthought everything and were super like ritualistic and like crazy in your head about this fight here, get out of your head, have fun. The people are here. They want to be entertained, be entertaining. That's like a gift to be able to do.
My daughter just got into wrestling. My husband watches wrestling. He watches it on the wrestling app. I don't know, he watches it. And so my daughter, she's never cared. And she's in this phase where she wants to play NBA 2K like him and watch wrestling. And she's like, when they get really mad, she cracks up. She's like, look at that guy's face. Or why is his legs so hairy? And then my husband's like, you're ruining all. I don't want to look at his legs. I don't care. Like, she's like, mommy, look at her breasts. And I'm like, is this appropriate? And then Rick's like, we watched wrestling when we were kids. I'm like, this is very true. Very true. But they look like they're having fun.
I have to say that I kind of do the same thing that your daughter does with my husband, because he'll have it on and I will go, that storyline doesn't make sense. I don't think that this makes sense. They should have done it this way. And Stephen's like, you just dropped in and this has been a year-long storyline and you think you can just come in here and ask questions and rewrite the script. I'm like, yes, I do. I think from an outside perspective, this is exactly what this needs. And I have all kinds of questions. And he actually he never watches wrestling with me anymore. I mean, he watches it on his own all the time, but he won't watch it with me because he does not like my questions.
You're killing the joy, Cassandra.
I'm just asking questions. I'm not killing any joy. I have questions.
Yeah, hardcore wrestling fans can be a little bit elitist. Like they expect you to know everything. If you don't, I see it all the time on social media. They'll cut you down. Like it's a real fandom. It's a real fandom.
It gets intense.
Yeah, I can see that happening if your husbands are like intense about things, they don't want anybody messing up their wrestling. That's what a lot of people say, like my wrestling.
I don't want to say guilty pleasure, because I mean, he very much is very open about enjoying it.
Your husband is a wrestler.
I know
at
he
this
is
point.
a wrestler. He loves telling
like
people
he's a
that
wrestler.
he's a professional wrestler. He says at the end of the day, and I went lowercase p, and he was not super amused by that. But I know. I like giving him a little bit of shit for it, because if you can't play in your marriage, things get boring really quickly.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
It's
Gotta
very
give
true.
each other shit. Except when I'm not wanting it. When I'm not in the mood. Don't give me shit.
Well, and you
wait.
were also married to a professional wrestler.
Yeah.
So I feel like, man, you've just got all the boxes checked in terms of the wrestling world. Has there been anything in terms of your husband going, I got to do things this way? Not even just superstition, but have you seen him go through any types of phases or anything super funky, or any like, I have to have this under the pillow to do well? Or is he just over that at this point?
No, the weirdest thing in the world to me, and I never can get past this, because remember, my mind frame in wrestling is just, this is fun and we're having fun. And like, he still gets super nervous every single time. It drives me nuts. I'm like, how are you as good as you are? And you're nervous.
Really?
Like, I'm half as good, not even half as good as you. And I'm not nervous at all. I'm, joking with people, stretching.
That's kind of
Joking
cute
with,
though.
yeah,
That
like I'm
is.
just like playing around, and he's like, "Are you good? Are you sure? Do you want to run it by me?" I'm like, "No, I'm fine. I'm fine."
So
'cause
wait,
I'm
is he
out there and
is it
entertaining.
like stage anxiety a little bit, like a little nervous, like, because wrestling is a live audience. It reminds me a lot, like actors, they get to be on set. The most live is like the crew, right? My husband's thing is, like, when he's doing a comedy, he's always like, if I can get the crew to laugh, I know I'm in the pocket. But if the crew is not laughing at my ad libs, I'm not in the pocket. But I feel like wrestling is similar, where it's like you're in front of a live audience. You messing up isn't a thing. It's like soap operas where you're like kind of going so fast that you can kind of forget a line or not be in the place you're supposed to be, and then kind of mess everyone up. So I would be nervous, like dance. It's like choreography.
With wrestling, there's physical contact happening.
Well, yeah.
If you mess that up,
that's
somebody
that's
could
the
like
main-
break their necks. Sorry, I don't want to get
Yeah,
all dark
no.
here.
Which
but-
you're right. You're right. I mean, like,
It's
funny,
so
though.
true.
I have had plenty of times where I've been in the ring and things are happening, and then all of a sudden I look across the ring at my opponent and I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. I don't know what's happening. But I don't panic ever. I'm just like, you know what? It's going to work
We're
itself.
gonna
It's going to work
figure it
itself
out.
out. And it usually does, like, really quickly. Like, I've never been in a situation where I had no idea what was going on for a very long time. And, there have been situations in which I've had to say, what's going on? What do you need from me? I don't know right now. Okay, okay. I'm back. I'm back.
Is it that people forget? Are they just having a brain fart moment?
A lot of times I feel like, if you have enough time with like your story, like you were saying, things make sense then. So everything's very natural in that case. Also, if you've had the same opponent for a long time, things just make sense. You know each other. You can look at somebody and know the way that
Give
she
them
just
a little,
looked at
like,
me.
eyebrow
I know
thing,
what's
or
happening
like a little
next.
wink or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, or the way that they're moving their body. I'm like, I've seen that before. I know what's happening,
Mhm.
But sometimes when like you're new to somebody and you haven't had a lot of time to work together, and you're just now starting to understand what's going on, like why we're mad at each other, like, or what, that's when things fly out the window for me, when I don't really grasping everything that's going on. And same thing with the audience, you can hear them. So if everything's brand new to them, while you're in there, you're feeding off of them and you're hearing them. So if it's really quiet, you can tell, I don't really get this either, So then it's kind of panicky, because you're like, they need to get this. What are we not doing that they're not getting this? Things need to change. And then of course, if you're not thinking about what you're doing,
Yeah.
your brain's out the window.
Wow. So that's pretty technical.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. People really should give a lot of credit to wrestlers, even, people, they pick their favorites, and, they'll rag on people that aren't their favorites, but even those people are working so hard, like you have no idea. So give your appreciation to those people who are working very hard that may not be your favorites. Like
Yeah.
they're still really, really, really working super hard for you.
Yeah, no kidding. What's the one wrestling secret that you can actually tell us? Or I guess like, I don't want you to spoil your secrets, but what's the one thing that like a lot of people aren't aware of or wouldn't know? Like what's kind of like a surprising fact?
Everything hurts.
Oh,
Everything hurts. I wish that weren't the case, but everything does hurt.
So you're saying that people are saying like, oh, well, it's scripted. So
Well, a lot of times, people will say the first time that they step in a wrestling ring, they'll go, oh my gosh, I expected this to be padded. It's not. There are wood beams under the ring. Like when you fall for the first time in a wrestling ring, it definitely hurts. I remember the first time I went thinking, I come from figure skating and stuff, and like ice is hard. We fall on the ice all the time. And I was just like, this is going to be a cakewalk for me. The first time I fell flat on my back, I saw stars. And I was just like, I got to do this again. Holy
and again,
crap.
and again.
What did I do wrong?
Ooh.
It's nothing. It's just you build up kind of a tolerance to it. But really bad, like really big things, like something up off the top rope where the two of you, like if you do a suplex off the top rope, definitely the next day it feels like you were in a car accident. And you'll be walking and like, oh my God, my back. And then you're like, oh yeah. Top rope, that sucked.
So you guys have
that's
to,
why I'm hurting. So
you have to do like
hurts.
a lot of recovery, right? Like do you guys do the cryo? Is it cryo? And
some people do. Everybody's different in what they do. I just do I do weekly massage, and I do like every other week chiro. Those are kind of my things. And then I take a bath almost every night, like a hot bath, just to keep myself
of course,
feeling as good as possible. The older I get, the more I notice stuff, and I'm like, dang, that didn't used to bother me that much. Now it does.
Cheers to getting older gracefully.
Yay!
Yeah.
Well, we're not aging. We're anti-aging. We're aging backwards with this collagen.
That's that collagen cocktail. Brandi Rhodes, thank you for joining us. And Sheri Gonzalez, Cassandra Jean Bell, your co-hosts. Guys, you know what to do. All the like and subscribe things and all of the social media things that you do. Go find us. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye. All right.